Okay, so today we're going to make the 1.25 figure 1. So there's some new features in this. I want you to pay attention carefully. So first off, I'm going to go to New. And notice you may have this window closed. If you have only ENUS showing, open that window. We're going to change our units to metric. When we do that, you can see all kinds of changes happen here. So I'm going to go into Standard, and I'm going to, because I'm creating a part file, and I'm going to say Create. Okay, so now what I want to do, it says you start off by sketching a 20 millimeter by 30 millimeter rectangle. So I'm going to start my sketch. They tell you to do it on the XY. So there's my XY plane. I'm going to get a rectangle. I'm going to start at the center with the origin. And this is going to be 20 tab 30. And I hit enter. Okay, so now they say finish the sketch. And what I want to do is I'm going to use a new thing called Revolve. So we're going to revolve, and they want me to pick an axis, and they say revolve around the 30 millimeter side. So I'm going to revolve here. That's my axis. The default is 360, and there we have it. So we have our first revolution. Okay, next they say sketch a 10 millimeter square centered on the top of the cylinder. Okay, so 10 millimeter on the top of the cylinder. So I'm going to do a new sketch up here. I'm going to say new sketch. And they want it to be centered, and it's going to be a square. So look what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a 2-point center. I'm going to start at the center, and when I pull out, look what it's going to do. It's going to center it for me. So this is 10 by 10. Okay, that's done. They say finish the sketch. Now we're going to extrude that piece. So extrude, and we're going to go up a distance of 15 millimeters. So make this 15. And say OK. Okay, so let's move this down to where I can see it. And the next thing they say is to add a 5 millimeter fillet to the edges between the rectangular prism and the cylinder. So these edges right in here. Okay, so right in here. So look up here. Here's a new tool, Fillet. I want this to be 5, so 5 millimeters. And I'm going to pick my surfaces. Here, here, I've got to rotate a little bit. So let's come back to this. And I'm going to pull this up a little bit there, and then let's rotate again, and there we go. So we have it, and say apply, and it's done. Okay, so that was very good. Next thing, add a 5 millimeter by 30 degree chamfer, so another tool. So I'm going to turn this over a little bit so I can see it. Here's the chamfer tool. To do a chamfer, you've got to pick your rim and your bottom. Okay, but I want this kind, so I'm going to pick again in just a second. I want this to be 5 millimeters. I want this to be 30 degrees. And I'm going to select the bottom and select the rim. And now it's going to do it. Notice that there are 3 different types. We're in this type with the angle and the measurement. These are distances, and these are distances. Okay, so I'm going to say apply, and it did it. So I'm going to go back up to my regular view, and there you have it. So I believe we have done everything we need to do. I'm going to just pick a color. Oops, open your color, and I picked something in the blue family. You've got all these colors to choose from. I'm going to do sky blue, and now I'm done. So I'm going to say File, Save As, and I've done this before, so I'm going to save this as figure 1. Use the same name as I did. Hit save. I'm going to replace the one I previously had, and then we're good. Okay, now we're going to continue because I'm going to say File, New, and I want to make the drawing file. This is the one you're selecting, ANSI. Hit Create, and look at their drawing file. Okay, good. Now I'm going to come up here, and edit my sheet. I'm going to edit the sheet. We want to go with A because that's what prints for us. And go into here and delete your title block. Okay, so take your base, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Say OK. Pull it out. Oops, sorry. Pull it out. Okay, and now look at my screen on my multi-view sketch. That's our assignment, and it says that I don't need that view, so I'm going to delete that view. So I'm going to say OK. Okie doke. Next thing I'm going to do is do some dimensioning. So I'm going to start up here at the top. I'm going to go to Annotate and go to Dimension. I'm going to grab this and pull out. Hope me escape out of that. It wasn't what I wanted to grab. Okay, I'm going to grab this and pull out. Do that one more time. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to say OK for that. Then I'm going to put my center mark right here. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so it's easier for me to deal with. And I think we lost our other dimension somehow. So let me get that back again. So, oops, let me do that one more time. Being persnickety. Okay, that holds it. Okay, I have my center mark. Now let's grab some dimensions. Here and here. I'm going to pull this way out. Say OK. Here and here. I'm going to pull that right there. Say OK. OK. So I'm going to leave those there for the time being. We'll change it in just a second, and I'll show you how. Here and here. Okay. And say OK. And then here and here. And say OK. All right. So let's color this. You might as well shade this in, get my dimension off. And I'm going to shade this. Edit view. I'm going to shade. Say OK. Okay, that looks better. Okay, so let's talk about this. If I right-click on this and I say Options, if I use the option of Leader, the numbers go in. Okay, so I can do it for this one as well. The option of Leader, the numbers are in. Okay, so that looks a little tight to me, so I may pull this out in a second. Let me see if I want to do something here. When I delete that 5, let me dimension that again and make it come in like this. And then what I'm going to do is let me put it right here, but then I'm going to click on it. That's no OK. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to say Options, and I'm going to say Leader. And now that looks better. Okay, so everything else is OK. All right, let's do the dimensioning that they're calling for. So from here to this edge right here is going to be 15. And I can pull that in just a second if I want to. From here until the very bottom, it's going to be 30. And they want both of these. Okay, so now I'm going to continue. I want to grab this and pull out. Don't grab the green or it won't hold. Let me do that again. So dimension, grab this, pull out, say OK. That's good. Okay, then I have a dimension here, from here to here. Pull that straight down. Say okay. All right, I need another dimension here. Now, I tried to do this earlier and it didn't work as nicely as I wanted to, so I found a backdoor method. Okay, if you grab this and pull out, you get the chamfer information, okay? So that's good, but I don't want that whole thing. So I'm going to escape out of chamfer, I'm going to right-click on it, and I'm going to enter the chamfer note. So all I want is the angle. So I'm going to move out of here. I'm going to delete that by just backspacing, and I'm going to say OK. And then could I possibly move this out? And yes, I can. Okay, so that's going to give me the chamfer information, and I'm happy with the way it looks. Okay, so let me make this a little bit smaller. And actually, I want to grab this and move it over. And let's talk about some typing now. I'm going to go up to text, and over here, I'm going to say notes, colon, 1 point, all dimensions are in millimeters. And I'm going to say OK. Okay, now they have other things. Oh, here, do we want to change this? Let me escape out of that. Let me right-click on this. Let me go to my options. Oops, do that again. Options, leader, that's going inside. And let's see if I can fix this. Options, leader, yeah, that's good. Okay, so everything is going the way I want it to go. So everything is good. Now, they also have other wording here. Now, I wouldn't necessarily do this, but since I have it here, I want to show you how to do it. What you're going to do is you're going to change your size of your lettering to 6.10 and type in the word top and say OK. All right, so that's good. Now, let's go over here and we'll type in the word. We'll change your font size again. We're going to type in the word front and say OK. Now I'm going to escape out of the text, and I'm going to be able to move this up a little bit if I wanted to. Okay, I can move this up a little bit if I wanted to. All right, so that is all set. I'm going to say File, Save As. This is going to be this name. I'm going to replace the one I did earlier, and we are all set. And there you go.